Today I'm building the simplest fire pit ever. Most DIY fire pits are either built wrong or way too complicated, but not today. Anyone can do this project because it's DIY friendly, which means it doesn't require professional tools. And I'm going to share contractor tips along the way to make sure this is nice and easy for you. Everything I'm using today is available at Lowe's.com, or you can check out the products in the video description, or click the shop feature in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Thanks to Lowe's for sponsoring this build. Let's get into it. The first thing we're going to do is we got to know the end from the beginning. We have a master plan for the whole backyard, and it was designed by our landscape architect to include a hot tub over here and a sauna back there. So what we got to do is kind of measure these things out so we can pick the spot so it doesn't look stupid later on. So my hot tub area is going to be 8 feet right here. All right. So we're going to measure off from that yellow leaf. That's 25. And we're going to use the front of this garden, for lack of a better word, as a representation of where my sauna was going to be. 32 feet to the bush. So that means we are going to be 16 feet from that line, represents the center of my fire pit. Right here. And visually, I also want to have it sort of centered on that hot tub area. That looks good to me. There we go. That's where the fire pit goes. Now, a couple of other things. We're going to be installing a fire pit and chairs, and so in order to know how big it has to be, we're going to have to finish assembling all of our chairs. We can walk over here and visually inspect what it's going to look like. Then we can measure the diameter, then we can start cutting. Okay guys, well here's our cast iron fire bowl. It's going to get legs and handles, got a cover, and I just cut a circle out of the box that it was delivered in. So this is going to represent that bowl, so I don't have to lug that thing around all day. We're going to put this in the middle. Yeah, that's as good an idea as any. And here we go, 32 inches. There we go. That's good. So I was an inch short and you were an inch long. All right, so now we can measure from the backside to the backside. I'm looking at 14 feet, a couple inches to spare, okay? All right. So, now that we got our diameter, let's lose the chairs, and we'll get in here with our string line and spray paint our diameter. Okay, now, okay, here we go. We're going to measure back to 7 feet, which is the radius of our circle, which is right there. I'm going to just run a few laps around the can here of my marking paint. Well, that's about as scientific as you're going to get, eh? Oh, we met up at the same spot. That's good. Boom! All right, let's do this. The tool of choice here is a very flat shovel, okay? You can grab your grass and literally cut the roots off.
My right quad muscle after this is going to be freaking huge.
There are places where you can rent tools, and they do have a machine called a sod cutter. It would make real quick work of this. So we figured, since Matthew's here, we would save a few bucks.
Let's not do another one of these this year, okay?
So here's our edging product, all right? And our plan is to get about 2 inches below the surface, all right? And then we stake it in, and we're about 2 inches above here and a couple inches below the soil on the inside. That gives us the ability to backfill with dirt and grass seed and then have a nice clean finish on the inside, and we can get about 3 inches of stone in there all together. All right, so we want to get rid of all the rocks and the roots, break this out a little bit, and create our space to put in our stone. All right, just got a little bit more digging to do. I want to have a hole with no grass and no roots. Okay, here we go. We'll just clean up the rest of the scrap into the wheelbarrow. We'll dump it.
All right, now we got a pretty looking hole. Look at that.
We got a really pretty hole. All right, next step, guys. We've got all of our debris moved. You will find that almost every backyard in America is going to have all kinds of different backfill, but then most companies, when they build a house, put on something called topsoil. So there's always a couple of inches of actual good, clean dirt. So Matt's gonna take the shovel and kind of skim the top ½ inch to an inch. We're gonna get ourselves a half a wheelbarrow full and set it aside so that when we're done edging, we can come back, mix that with some grass seed, and then repack and replant around the perimeter on the outside of this hole. So here's our landscape cloth, guys. It is a non-woven landscape cloth. And what that means is it actually drains. So, well, you'll see, I can soak this down. That's all the water coming through the cloth as it drains. All right? What that means is if you get a late afternoon shower and then your plan is to have a fire that evening, you're not going to be sitting in a bucket of water. This will all drain. The stone will drain, this will drain. We have a mix of sand and clay here, so we're in great shape. We're more than long enough. This is a 100-foot roll, 4 feet wide when you open it up. And our circle is only a couple 100 square feet tops. So I'm just gonna way overlay it. To keep life simple here. When you're doing your cloth, it's nice to have about 6, 8 inches of overlap. Okay, so take a look at which way it folds open. And then just go from there. I'm gonna throw a spike near the edge. These are just plastic landscape spikes. Okay. And that is just for the convenience of when the phone rings and you're halfway through your project. The kids are crying. You don't want to come back out and have it all blown all over the place. So here we are, we've made one critical error in judgment, shall we say. If I had grabbed all the spikes and made a circle first and then traced that line out, I wouldn't be sitting here, what am I? About 6 inches short of the goal. End of the day, my fire pit is 2 inches. What's the difference between that and 13, like 8 inches? So this is where we are. I now have to have 2 pieces and I've got to come from both ends, meet in the middle. I got to grind the metal down. A little frustrating, but not the end of the world. Booyah. And then it won't matter how far we go. We'll just get a nice little piece of stretch here. Okay, now Matt, if you can give me a hand here, let's get all these pins in place. Okay, all right, now it's time. I'm gonna rake out our stone. And guys, it's really cool. You order it all delivered to the driveway, all right? When you buy the bags, empty them into a wheelbarrow right at the driveway. Don't throw them over your shoulder and bring them back. I'm sorry, these stones, they come wet, okay? And they come with stone dust. So what happens is all of that is bleeding all over you on your clothes while you're carrying it. So just take it off the skid that's gonna come with. This turned out to be a little over 30 bags. Take it off the skid, bust it in your wheelbarrow, and then bring it back that way. It saves you a whole lot of getting messy, all right? All right. All right. Okay. Well. I have another one of those. What the heck is going on over there? How's that? Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. If you find this helpful, subscribe to the channel. Cheers.